I've always been curious about abandoned places, and that curiosity has often pulled me into shadows. There's a strange thrill in breathing air that hasn't been touched in years. Most of the time, it's harmless, just dust, rust, and silence. But one night, that curiosity didn't fade when I left the building. Instead, it followed me home and has never let me go. It began on a stormy evening when I was driving aimlessly down a forgotten road. The rain hammered against the windshield, turning the night into shifting streaks of silver. Then I saw it, a factory crouched behind a rusted chain-link fence, its broken windows staring like black eyes. Graffiti scarred the brick, and vines crawled over its crumbling walls. Somehow it looked alive, like it had been waiting for me. I pulled over, heart racing faster than the storm outside. The main gate was chained, but a section of fence sagged open just enough to squeeze through. I stood there for a moment, drenched and shaking, before ducking into the gap. The ground inside was slick with rain and oil, each step squelching under my boots. Ahead, the heavy front doors leaned on broken hinges like jaws waiting to bite. When I pushed them open, the sound scraped upward into the building's hollow chest. The air was damp, metallic, and thick with mildew. My flashlight cut narrow slices through the dark, landing on papers curled with age and rusting lockers half open. A corkboard still clung to the wall, its faded notices fluttering faintly in the draft. A calendar hung crooked, its last date circled in red decades ago. At first, it was like exploring a museum of decay. Conveyor belts stretched out like skeletal spines. Control rooms stood abandoned, their glass shattered into glittering shards. Crates sat rotting in corners, their labels faded beyond recognition. On the floor lay a cracked hard hat, split open like a broken skull. For a moment, I told myself it was just another ruin, nothing more. But then came the sound that didn't belong to silence. A shuffle drifted from somewhere deeper inside the factory. Then a scrape, slow and deliberate, followed by a faint tap, tap, tap. The rhythm reminded me of fingernails counting against metal. My breath froze as I realized I wasn't alone. "Wind," I whispered to myself, but even my voice sounded unconvincing. The tapping grew louder, echoing between the beams and shadows. Then came the whisper, faint but sharp against my ear. "You don't belong here." My skin prickled, and my flashlight shook in my hand. Every instinct screamed for me to turn back, but curiosity tightened its grip. I found a staircase twisting up toward the second floor. Each step groaned like it wanted to betray me. Halfway up, the air shifted, colder, heavier, and harder to breathe. My breath showed white in the beam of my flashlight, vanishing like ghosts escaping from my mouth. The deeper I went, the more the silence pressed close, suffocating and watchful. At the landing, I stopped to steady my shaking hands. Catwalks stretched over a cavern filled with rusted machines. Enormous vats loomed below like giants waiting in the dark. Broken windows let in only thin ribbons of stormlight. Strips of caution tape twitched, as if tugged by invisible fingers. On the far rail, a shadow moved in the corner of my eye. I swung my light, but nothing was there. My voice cracked when I called out a trembling, "Hello?" Only silence answered, followed by the soft tap, 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 circling me again. Whatever it was, it wanted me to know it was there. The offices were lined along the wall, doors hanging loose and rooms littered with decay. Inside one, overturned chairs leaned against cracked desks. Papers lay rotting on the floor, soaked from years of leaks. Coffee mugs still sat on tables, their stains hardened into black rings. Then at the very end, I saw a door unlike the others, iron-banded and locked tight. Its handle gleamed as though touched too many times, polished against years of hands. I reached out, and the cold stung like ice. From behind the door came the sound of fabric dragging across the floor. Then came a slow, heavy breath that wasn't mine. Finally, a whisper seeped through. "It's been waiting for you." My chest clenched, and I stumbled back. Scratches scuttled through the ducts above me. Somewhere a chain clinked, swaying without touch. My light skimmed across the floor, stirring dust into clouds. Something shifted below, hidden in the dark, patient and aware. "Who are you?" I croaked into the silence. No answer came, only a pressure in the air, heavy and alive. The factory seemed to breathe with me, timing its rhythm to mine. Each step I took was matched by something unseen. The building was no longer empty. It was watching. Through a narrow hall, lockers sagged open like mouths losing teeth. A clock on the wall froze forever at 3:17. Along the paint, scratches carved long and steady lines, as if made by desperate fingernails. The whisper brushed my ear again, sharper this time. "Turn around." My blood ran cold as I spun in place. The corridor behind me was empty, but my flashlight beam flickered at the edges. It was as though the darkness bent against the light, refusing to give way. Something invisible brushed my sleeve and I lurched forward. My flashlight clattered to the floor, rolling in wild circles. In the spin, I saw it, tall, thin, and draped in rags, with pale skin stretched too smooth. Where eyes should have been were two dim, glowing cones. They didn't reflect the light. They drank it. The figure tilted its head in an unnatural twitch. My heart hammered, and my throat dried to dust. Then the beam spun away again, and the hall was empty. "What are you?" My voice came out broken, more plea than question. No reply. Only the creak of weight shifting onto metal. The catwalk nearby groaned under something unseen. The handrail quivered, shivering with pressure. I realized it was moving toward me. I backed away, but the locked iron door rattled suddenly at my side. The padlock shivered against its band like something pushing from the inside. A soft, hopeless clink echoed in the hall. I felt trapped between what was in front of me and what was sealed behind. My only choice was to run. I turned and sprinted, my boots slamming the metal catwalk. Every sound multiplied through the vast space, thunderous and panicked. Down the stairs, the steps screamed with each landing. Behind me, the whisper returned, sharp and final. "You woke it." My stomach dropped as a new sound rose. Long, stretching, like a thing standing after a patient slumber. On the ground floor, my flashlight beam swept across footprints in the dust. They weren't mine. They were long, bare, and fresh, ending exactly where I stood. Then the figure came into full view above, unfolding over the railing. It moved slowly, carefully, tilting its head as though savoring the hunt. "Leave," it spoke. But the voice was not one. It was many. The words layered together like broken glass scraping. "Leave while you can." My knees buckled as I stumbled backward. Terror flooded every nerve, forcing me to move. I ran blindly into the shadows. The factory warped as I bolted, each hallway folding into the next. My shoulder cracked against a column, sparks bursting in my vision. I slipped in oil, glass shredding my hand as I pushed up again. My body screamed with pain, but fear kept me moving. Behind me, footsteps never hurried. They didn't need to. The lobby finally appeared ahead, like an open mouth. I shoved through it and into the storm. Rain hammered my face as mud dragged at my boots. The fence cut into me as I scrambled beneath it. I burst into the road, sprinting to my car with lungs burning. I slammed the door, hands trembling as I locked it. My breathing filled the space, jagged and desperate. For a moment, I thought I was safe. Then came the faintest sound, playful and mocking, the tap-tap-tap of metal fingers. My eyes darted to the factory, but it stood still and dark. I drove, rain slashing across the windshield. The wipers hissed in rhythm, but another sound hid beneath them. A long, deliberate breath drifted from the back seat. I didn't dare look, not until miles passed. When I finally did, the seat was empty. The next morning, I asked a shopkeeper about the place. His expression soured with fear. "People used to go there," he muttered, "but they came back different. The lucky ones never came back at all. He slid a box of bandages across the counter, eyes fixed on my injured hand. "Whatever that place touches, it keeps," he whispered. The words clung to me like cobwebs I couldn't shake. Since then, I avoid abandoned streets and alleys. But the weight of unseen eyes has never left, and the whispers still follow me into my sleep. Some nights, my apartment creaks with the same rhythm of the factory. Tap, tap, tap. Shadows bend across the walls, curving like shoulders. My chest tightens as the whisper returns, still waiting. Fear has carved a hollow in me that never heals. I tell this story as a warning, hoping someone might hear it before stepping through their own fence. Curiosity is a chain, and once it grips you, it drags you forward. Some places aren't empty. Some doors are locked for reasons you'll never want to know. And some things wait forever until you arrive. If the air chills as you climb, if the silence bends around your name, turn back before it's too late. Don't ignore the warning of your own fear, because not every trespassing story ends when you leave the building. Some wait by your bed at night, and some, like the thing in that factory, are patient enough to follow you home.